Friend, do we have a good one for you? Today, we're interviewing someone we have both followed on Instagram for a while and someone we are very inspired by. Today, we introduce to you Kayla Elledge. Kayla is 26 years old, born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina. She recently moved and is currently living in Charleston, South Carolina with her husband, Keith. She is an online fitness coach who is passionate about helping women find the joy and healing power of fitness as she has. In addition to being a fitness coach, she is an athletic model and content creator. Fun fact about Kayla is she was recently on an NBC dance show. Like, what? She is a beach bum who is just trying to live every day like it's her last in honor of her dad. Let's welcome Kayla to the podcast as we hear her heart and her story that has shaped who she is and how she lives today. Let's go. Welcome to the Refined Sisterhood podcast. We are your hosts, Maddie and Kate, and we are here to chat about all things motherhood, faith-infused entrepreneurship, and lots of real life. We want you to leave feeling loved, encouraged, and a whole bunch of excitement for where the Lord has you right in this moment. We are so glad you are here. So grab your coffee, matcha, tea, whatever makes you happy, and let's hang out and indulge in some joyful conversations. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Refined Sisterhood podcast. Maddie and Caitlin here with a very, very special guest, Miss Kayla Elledge. We are so excited to have her on our podcast just to chat all about like her story, hear from her heart, let her encourage all of us. And we're just really excited because she's a super, super cool human. Yeah. And so we're going to let her introduce herself. But before we jump in, we need to know, Kayla, you're amazing. And your fun fact, can we talk about the fact that you were on an NBC dance show? What the heck?
I forgot that I told you that.
Yes.
So isn't that crazy? They found me on TikTok, and I'm not kidding you. They reached out and I did a few auditions like virtually. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what this is. Forgot about it. 6 months later, they called me and they're like, next week, can you come film in Atlanta? And I was like, sure. So I just went and I did it, and it was so cool. And I think it airs this month. So
yeah, we went and like watched the trailer. That's amazing.
I don't even know why the heck I was on it. It was so random. But it was hands down the coolest thing of my life. So I'm like,
we were literally like watching I read your like thing and I was like, she was on an NBC dance show. I was like, what show? And then Kaylin was like, we like went and looked the trailer up and I was like, what? Nick Jonas?
I literally didn't even know he was going to be there. That's the funny thing. I didn't know like him and Shakira. Like I didn't know it was that legit. They just put me on stage and they were like, all right, 3, 2, 1. And they introduced Nick Jonas. And I literally peed in my pants a little bit. I was
my gosh. I would have done the same thing. Yeah, I think I would have real passed out.
I was just like, holy cow. But it was so cool. But it was just one episode. I'm not like a reality TV star by any means. But
girl,
really
you
cool
are a star. You're on TV. We're watching. When does it air? Do you know when it airs?
So it airs in May, but since I'm only on episode 8, I think that probably wouldn't show until probably early June, you know?
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated. You know, I'll post it. Look at me.
You look amazing. And you had like, I don't know, you were kind of like the spotlight in the trailer because it like opens up on your dancing.
I don't even remember filming that. I'm like, how did they get that footage? I have no idea. Someone sent me the trailer and was like, oh my gosh. And I hadn't even seen it. I was like, wait, that's me. I was like, just as shocked as they were.
Wow, you're like famous. Yeah. Remember us. Remember being on this podcast when you're like our friends with Nick Jonas and Shakira. Okay. Shout us out, please.
Oh my gosh, I will.
All right. Yes. Okay. So we're going to jump right into all about you, your story. So we're going to let you take it away. We know that you have a lot to talk about. You have a lot on your mind. So let's dive into your story and like kind of what got you to where you are today.
Yeah. So I am first of all, I'll just kind of introduce myself. I'm Kayla. I'm 26 years old. I was born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina, but I now currently live in Charleston with my husband. We've been married just about a year, so we're pretty much still newlyweds. But I am an online fitness coach, an athletic model, beach bum, and believer. So a lot of titles, and content creator. I wear a lot of hats, but first and foremost, I'm a believer and a wife. So I just really have a kind of crazy testimony, and I am pumped to be here and pumped to be sharing it with you guys. So
we're excited to hear it. Yes.
Woo woo. I was literally praying over it this morning in the gym. I was like, please just give me the words. So I really hope that God uses my words and just speaks to somebody listening to this that needs to hear it.
Absolutely.
And if you are out there, whoever you are listening, and you relate or you want advice, message me somehow. They can give you my information.
Yes.
Because I love meeting new friends and just praying over people that need it. But all right. So I guess I would just start my story in 2018. So it was July 2018. It was like early July, and we went on vacation. By we, I just mean like my family vacation. My mom, dad, sister. And we would go on these vacations to Charleston every single year since I was born, basically, which is very common, family vacation.
Yeah.
But they always held like such a special place in my heart because my dad and I were just like so tight, and this is like best friend time. Like we were about to make sandcastles, live our best life. So this particular year in 2018, when we went to the beach, it was the most amazing vacation we've ever had in our life. I don't know how to describe it, just except that everyone just felt really present, and it just felt different. And there were so many moments that were just so special that I'll kind of get into that later,
right?
That were really sentimental. But on the way home from this trip, I felt really uneasy, and I have no idea, or I didn't at the time. I had no idea why. I just started bawling on the way home, and my mom and dad looked at me and were like, do you want to go back? Like, why? We can go back for a few more days. But the only way I can describe it is I had a crazy amount of just like, it was like grief just rushed over me. And I literally said out loud in the car, I was like, it will never be like this again. And I don't know what made me say that. And I wouldn't have dreamed about what I'm about to tell you guys, what happened. But I just knew in my heart that something was going to happen. And for 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks, I kept that uneasy feeling. And I really do think that God was kind of prepping me for something that was about to kind of rock my world. So flash forward 2 weeks, I was right. The worst of the worst happened though. So I knew something was going to happen, but I wouldn't expect this. But it was 2 weeks before my college graduation. And it was just a Saturday. My sister and I were at the lake on a boat, and my dad had gone to the beach again with his buddies just for the weekend. He just shot down there. It was just a few hours away. So he was about 3 hours away from us, but we were just having fun, normal Saturday. We got a call saying that there had been an accident, and nothing really tragic has happened in my family up to this point. Like I was just very, very blessed. I mean, I had basically almost all my grandparents, like things just didn't really happen. I was very lucky, and I just, you don't feel like things are going to happen to you until they do. So anyway, when we got this call, I was like, oh God, like he must have like broke his leg or something, like I was just thinking like it was bad, but I didn't know what was actually going to happen. But anyway, got the call. So we were in the middle of the lake. So this is horrible because we say we have to rush. They're like, just rush to the hospital. They would not tell us what was wrong. I think they wanted us to drive safe, which made sense. They didn't tell us the extent of anything. So we were really, my sister and I were just kind of blind going into this of like, what the heck? We have to load up the boat and get in the car and then drive 5 hours away basically to get to the hospital where they're telling, It was just, we couldn't have been further from where we needed to be in that moment. But that whole like next few hours were just like a giant blur, but we were like rushing down the lake. I just remember like shots, like flashes, like rushing down the lake, loading up as fast as possible, speeding on the highway, like just, I don't know. But I was in the car, and we were very blessed that my sister's boyfriend at the time he ended up driving us. So neither one of us had to drive because we were not in the right mind, because we did not know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I still just had heard like, okay, there's a bad accident. And they kept calling every few minutes, which is when we knew it was getting bad, because they kept asking us, how far are you? How far are you? And that's when it kind of was like, well, God, why does it matter? Like, we are coming as fast as we can. So that's when things kind of started to like register, like this isn't just a little accident, something really bad happened. So in the car, all I knew was there was an accident. All I could do was pray. So I literally, when I tell you, it was the longest, but also the shortest 3 hours of my life. Like it felt so long, but also I was just closing my eyes and praying. And I literally don't think I've ever prayed that long in my life. And I prayed from the time I got in that car till the time we pulled up to the hospital in Charleston. And I literally, Beaufort, technically. But I literally sat there and just prayed and said, Jesus, have your way. I said, I don't know what happened to my dad. No one is telling me anything. No one will tell me anything. I'm like begging people to tell me things. No one will. But I just sat there and I just said, have your way, have your way, have your way. Like, did not talk to anybody. And that's all I did, with my hands just in this like vulnerable posture of just like, I don't know what happened. And I don't even know what I'm giving to you, but I chose in that moment, like, I'm just going to give it to you, because what the heck, I don't know what I'm getting into. So then from there, ran up to the hospital doors. Obviously we knew it was also very bad when they didn't even check our IDs. They said, are you the daughters? Rush us back. And that was the moment that like my stomach just sank. And we saw my dad on the ventilator. He was on the hospital bed, and they told us that he had been in a boating accident. So that day he had went with some work buddies to the beach, and he had dove off a boat, and there was a sandbar there, and he had no idea. So he literally dove, and it broke his neck. So that sounds very crazy, and it's okay, because I've talked about it a lot. So I can kind of say it, but I know it sounds kind of deep. So we're getting kind of deep here, friend. But he dove off the boat. He broke his neck. And he basically, was gone right then. They kept his body breathing for us and for our peace. But the way I could describe it when I went into that room was my dad and best friend. He was there, but without them even telling me anything yet, like I felt him in the room, but I knew that he wasn't in his body. And that sounds kind of crazy. I literally have chills just thinking about it, but it was such a weird, holy experience of like, it was heartbreaking, but I also I felt him there. Like it felt like he was giving me a hug, and I just looked at his lifeless body and was like, this is not my dad. I mean, it is, but he's not in there. And I just remember from this night, just like flashes, different flashes of things. My mom and sister don't remember any of it, but I remember my mom just like screaming and crying, like laying over his body, and my sister throwing up in the corner. And then I remember I was just mad. So with me, I was just mad, and I was just like banging on the wall in the hospital. It was literally like something from like a horror movie. I was like, this doesn't happen to me. This is not my life. My dad is my best friend. This is not real. And it just felt like a dream. But I was mean, and I was shouting at nurses abruptly, and now looking back, I'm like, girl, I am so sorry. But in my head, I literally just remember shouting, being like, this was your job. Why didn't you save them? Why didn't you save them? Why didn't you save them? And from then on, and I know now this was his plan all along, but
right.
In the moment, it's really hard to express, like, when something like that happens, you don't know where to put that grief or that anger. And it's just, that was kind of just, I say that to show that like all of us girls kind of process this differently. My mom, sister, and I, that's kind of like, I should have said that first. There's three of us. So it's 3 girls. So after that, that's like the crazy sudden accident. He was very healthy, like so healthy, never had any health problems or anything. So it doesn't make it better. I know some people lose a parent and they know it's coming, and that's horrible too. But it just makes it different. So losing one suddenly, it doesn't make it it doesn't make it harder or easier, if that makes sense. But it was like one day, I just remember I had a dad. And then I remember going home that night thinking like, I don't have a dad. Like, I just remember thinking like, I don't have a dad. but I did have one this morning. Like, it was just so hard for me to wrap my brain around. And I'm very blessed to have one that have such an amazing dad that made this really hard. But I went home, went to bed, and this is kind of like the crazy supernatural part is when I woke up the next day, I just remember waking up thinking, you would think like my mom and sister just like laid in bed crying. And I woke up and I was like, it's go time. And that's the only thing I can describe it is like, it's go time. 2 weeks ago, when I had that feeling in the car, I knew something was coming, and I was praying and like trying to figure out what it was. And this is the moment for me to shine. Like, this is it. Like, it's go time. So I popped out of bed, literally lost my dad, not even 4 hours before, by the time we got home. And I went on a run, and which is kind of psycho. Yeah, girl did what she knows how to do. And she was like, I'm going to get moving. So I got up, I went on a run, and there was this loop around my neighborhood. And I remember that first day, like, I could not make it 5 steps without just falling, but I was going to finish that run. So I kept going. And every day, I'm not kidding you, for a year, I ran that same run, whether it was snowing, if in the pouring down rain, I ran it, in the blazing hot, like whatever the conditions were, I was running that run. And some days it was so hard, and I would literally be on the side of the road crying that my neighbors would call me and be like, are you okay? We passed you. Do you need help? And I would be like, no, do not come for me. Nobody taught me. I am running. And the reason I think that I was so dead set on finishing this run is because if I finished that run, I could get through anything the day through my way. Right. So, during this time of like healing, I had so many responsibilities that no, girl my age should have to take care of. But my mom and sister were in a really weak state. And I knew that like, it was me that was going to sign the death certificate. It was me that was going to cancel her dad's phone number, like just crazy little things that are really heavy for a girl, a college girl to do. But I was more than happy to do it if it meant my mom and sister didn't have to do that. So with those responsibilities, the thing that got me through every single day was going on this run. And over time, that run got easier and easier and easier. And I think that's really beautiful symbolism of like, as I was healing, that run, got easier and easier. So it really was just symbolism for my healing and God's goodness, because I would go on that run, and every single day I would pray for whatever I needed for the day. But most of the time I would just pray some kind of prayer that was asking for like, strength for the day to do what I have to do, guidance to show me like, what do I need to do? I don't know how to handle this like funeral stuff, like what in the world? And he quite literally answered my prayers every single day. And like, he gave me exactly what I needed to get through every day. And if anyone listening has like dealt with, losing a loved one, that it almost feels like there's a giant, humongous mountain in front of you that you will never make it over, because that's definitely the first year. It's like that first Christmas, the first everything, first birthday, first, like, it just seems like you genuinely do not know if you're going to make it another day. And I am grateful to have made it through it. But I will say that first year, it was hard. And so I don't know. It's just mind blowing that I have made it, that God carried me through it, because I know that it was not my strength at all. Like, it was 100% his strength, because that got me out of bed, because I could have been a potato. I could have been sitting there angry. I could have been moping, like whatever the case, which it would be completely acceptable and normal because everyone grieves different. But for me, I was so blessed with it was definitely all God's strength. Like, it was just some kind of crazy holy experience, because I don't even think I could ever do it again. Like, I can't explain all I can say is that like the strength was not mine. And I was very aware of that, because he gave me just what I needed to get through the day. I couldn't look ahead to like what the next month or the next week or even the next day was going to look like, but he did get me through that day, which was really, really amazing. Just to be so vulnerable and in such a desperate spot that you are forced to literally ask him for what you need in the morning and just trust that he will give it to you.
That's awesome.
And he really, really showed me that. And I will never be the same because of my faith will never be the same because of how like blatantly obvious God was like, I will provide for you and your family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think, I wanted to say this. I think it's really cool how you said, like you're like how you all grieve differently and how you just felt like you were ready to go. It's almost like God, like he obviously like knew that all of this was going to happen, but this specifically, it's like he gave you this specific endurance that he wanted to put inside of you 100%. Because he knew even though this was like a tragedy that you were going to have to face, it's like in the future, as we hear more about like how this testimony affected the rest of like your job and everything, like it's so cool that he gets to use you and your testimony and what you do and like see how that all like leads together. And I just think it's really, really cool that like he put that endurance in you and now it's literally like you get to share your testimony in every single moment of everything that you do because it's the biggest part of like who you are.
100%. 100%. And I think that's what is really cool is because I can look back and see that like he really did give me the endurance, not only like spiritually, but physically too, as we go into what my actual job is now. But I guess that's a good segue. So after like this crazy healing process, I forgot to mention that throughout this, my dad was in between life insurance. This was like very, of course, how does this happen? Like, of course, literally for like 1 week, he didn't have life insurance because he was switching. And that happened to be the week that this all happened. So us three girls were very spoiled, very blessed, grew up with a great home. But we had to really quickly sell that home. So we couldn't even just grieve our dad because we had to grieve our childhood home as well and the life that we knew. So it was just so much trying to grieve, trying to pack up, trying to, just going 100 miles an hour every single day. That was just a little side note. So just if it couldn't get worse, it got a little bit worse. No. But we still made it, fam. We made it. But all that to say that that season was horrific and worse than anything that I could ever dream. But because of it and because of those little runs every day, I found my love of fitness and I found that the healing power of it. And that's really how I became so passionate about, okay, I think I could do this. I think this is how I'm supposed to serve people is through fitness and helping them find this joy that I found through it. Because it's a lot of times viewed as a very toxic, thing.
Yeah.
So I really I want to help women find the healing power and men, the healing power of fitness. And that's really, fitness is such a huge part of my testimony and how I got through that, that first year, the first 2 years. And that's literally why I do. So since then, that's when I started my own online coaching business. I have done things that the old Kayla, pre-death of my dad, I am just a completely different woman. And my mindset has changed. I am so much stronger. And literally, I am just a different woman is the best way to describe it. And I love who I am now. I would give it all up just to have one more day with my dad. Don't get me wrong. But I will say that it's really cool to be on the other side of it and see that so much beauty has come from those ashes. And losing my dad because of that has been like a domino effect, and every blessing that I've had in my life, like marrying my best friend, starting being an entrepreneur and starting this business, I'm able to help women. And I've heard so many stories of girls that have been in similar situations. That has all happened just because of that one moment. So I have a lot of peace knowing that the accident was really not an accident. And it is very clear the way my life is turning out that was just part of the plan, and it's getting me where I'm supposed to be. And I've grown and chiseled and gotten chiseled and shaped throughout that so much. And I just want to encourage anybody listening that is going through something. Maybe it is not as heavy as losing somebody you love. Maybe it's whatever it is, however you're hurting, maybe you're just in a season that you feel like you're just stuck in a valley or stuck in a rut. There is still beauty and there is still joy to be had in that season.
Absolutely.
I remember like even in the worst of the worst few days after losing my dad, there were still moments that I would see like people smile or like, I don't know, just little tiny little things, like a nice, beautiful sunset. He would bless us with like little things that there is still joy to be had. And whether you're on top of the mountains or completely in the valley, his plan is just as good. And you just have to keep trucking because he will get you where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
No doubt about that.
That is so good.
But yeah.
Oh my goodness. I have so much to say. Oh my gosh.
I know. Sorry. I'm like,
no, girl, you're fine.
No,
we want you to talk.
I talk a lot.
No, we love it. Like the whole time I was literally about to cry first off. And then I was just like, okay, this is so like beautiful. Like one, I want to say thank you for sharing that. I know it's something you've worked through over the last few years to get to this place where you can be able to share it. But still, I feel like at the end of the day, it's gotten easier, but there are days where it probably still is harder. And I want you to know, we are so thankful that you are able to just be like real, raw, transparent with us, but also with all of the people listening. And because I really believe your story is something that Caitlin and I do not have. And your story is something that can really speak to people. I have never gone through what you've gone through, but you just telling your story has taught me something. Yeah. And so thank you. Yeah, seriously.
I feel like I was like, my number one thing was with this whole thing was like, I don't want my dad's death to be in vain. Like this is for a purpose and it is to change lives. And he touched so many, we could have a whole other podcast about the life of Barry Elledge and how amazing and joyful and incredible he was. But he was just a joyous person. And so my whole thing is like, I am going to honor him in all that I do. Absolutely. And it's cool to see that his life is still touching so many people, when he's already gone to heaven. He's at his forever home, but I'm going to keep his story alive here. And I'm willing to share with anybody because I feel like God gives us our testimonies and the really hard stuff, not to keep in, but to let it out because there's so many people that might need it that, we wouldn't know if we weren't willing to just be open and share it and be vulnerable. I think that's a really beautiful thing. So
absolutely. So Kayla, is there, after hearing your whole testimony, all of those super cool, I don't know, it's just cool to see God in that story. And I know it's really heavy for you and it's been such a, I can only imagine the journey it's been because obviously we've never been through this and I seriously cannot imagine. And I feel like I see such strength in you. It's incredible. But are there any other little ways that you feel like you truly saw the Lord touch your heart in that season?
100%. Yes. Every day it was something. I'm not kidding you. If I prayed for every day, I'd pray just show me, God, that you've got him, that you've got my dad, that he's taken care of. And he did. But one that comes to mind particularly, that's kind of hilarious at the same time, is my dad. He was crazy. But he thought the funniest thing in the world, I'm not kidding you, since I was a little baby, was wearing those Bubba teeth. So you know what I'm talking about? Those fake teeth. He would bust them out at 4th of July or Thanksgiving. He would just turn around and have them in. And it was just the weirdest thing, but he thought it was the funniest thing ever. And so there was just a whole thing with my dad and Bubba teeth, those little rubber funny teeth that you put in. So that sounds crazy. You're how do you see God in this? But with that said,
the Lord is funny.
I know that I'm not kidding you. This is the funniest, but also hands down craziest thing that happened to me in this season of life. But I was in Sprouts, and I remember it was not, I mean, it might have been 3 days after losing my dad. And I just remember being in Sprouts shopping for protein bars, girl got to get her protein. And I just remember being like, why on earth am I in Sprout? Like when you lose somebody, you almost feel like everything you do is pointless. You're just like, why am I in Sprouts buying protein bars? I don't have a dad. I don't know. I just was I was like, why am I in here? There's so many things I need to be doing and taking care of. And I'm sitting here and I can't decide what protein bar to buy. And I just started, it just overwhelmed me and it just hit me. And I just started bawling. And so I was literally sitting with, like, I just sat down on the protein bar aisle in Sprouts. I just sat down and cried and cried and cried. And when I tell you guys, I have chills already. I looked to my left and I saw a guy. This man was with Bubba teeth with my dad's smile. It was my dad's smile. I cannot explain it any other way, but like it was, I literally looked up to my left. I was bawling and I looked up I just felt a presence. I turned my head and there was a guy there with the biggest smile and beautiful blue eyes, just like my dad's. And he had those funny Bubba teeth in, and I was just bawling. And it was literally just like, God, wow. I don't know if it was an angel. I don't know. But I was like, God is literally showing me that like my dad is okay. Because right in the car before I went in, I prayed. I was literally just like, show me that my dad is fine. Because you go through kind of doubts, and I was like, I just want to, just reassurance. Like, you got him, right? Like, he's good. And I went in there, had that moment, looked up. And what are the odds at freaking 9 a.m. at Sprouts, there was this man with Bubba teeth, like smiling at me. First of all, most people would think that was so creepy, but I literally, not me. For me, it was special. And I literally left my basket on the floor and I got up and for a second, I just froze because I was like, am I seeing stuff? Like, am I hallucinating now? Like, great, there's another problem. I have issues. But I know, but literally so after I kind of like processed, like, oh my God, like what the heck? Like this person, I just freaked out and was like, I'm going to go find this guy and tell him, thank you. You might be weird, but you just made my entire day. You made me feel like that my dad was safe and I needed that more than So I mean, it wasn't maybe like 5 seconds later, enough time for him to leave the aisle, but not enough time for him to get far. I ran around the aisle and went and started to run out. I'm doing my hands as if like the podcast can see me. Started to run out to say thank you to this man. And he was nowhere. Like, I went to the cashier and I said, have you seen a guy with Bubba teeth? And they literally were like, what the, like, she's crazy. No. And then I ran into the parking lot and looked around and no sight of him. I literally was doing laps around Sprouts and I could not find this man. And I might sound crazy and this might be released. People are like, that's that crazy girl. But I cannot explain it except that there was a guy with Bubba teeth at 9 a.m. in Sprouts smiling at me with my dad's smile. And I went to find him 5 seconds later and he was not anywhere to be found.
That's
so
insane. That's 100% God.
100% God. And it was the most surreal thing that has ever happened to me in my life. And so I just wanted to make sure that I could share that because I literally called my mom, I called every person I knew and just the amount of just relief that I felt. I called them and I just said, Dad's okay. And they were like, what? And I was just like, I just need you to know Dad's okay. He's fine. I saw him today. He's fine. I don't know what I saw. I don't know if it was him or an angel. I don't know. But I was like, all I know is it was holy and it had some Bubba teeth in and Dad is fine. Like, I don't know. And it's just so funny that God will use things like, I don't know. Like, I prayed for it. I never believed he would use Bubba teeth to bring me peace, but he sure did. And it was unreal.
That gives me chills.
Yes. I can't even talk about it without chills.
It's so crazy because like we have such a awesome father and like the Lord is so good and so sweet. And like, he doesn't like owe us anything, but he like did something. He answered a tangible prayer for you and did it in a way that was like, I'm not only going to answer a prayer, but I'm going to make it very personal.
Yes.
And I'm going to like love her and just make her smile. And like, that is just so cool. And that just shows like one, God is funny. I always say that all the time. Like, God has a sense of humor.
Yes,
for sure.
he does.
And also, like, he answers prayers, but he answers them in a personal way.
Yes.
And I that was so good, Kayla.
Yes,
Oh
it's so specific.
that is literally,
that moment got me
so
through
crazy.
the entire rest of the healing process. Like, I mean, I'm still healing every day, but when I'm having a bad day or I start to doubt, I am not kidding you. I think back to that moment. I'm like, this was so specific that it couldn't not be God. Like, like this is, it was so clearly him. And I'm just so grateful that he gave me that little piece of like heaven right here on earth. And like, I will never forget it, and that's why I'm so passionate about this, just using this to glorify him, because I'm like, oh my God, like his hand is all over it.
Yeah, for every time I see Bubba teeth now, I'm literally
like,
Kayla's dad.
Yes. Barry Elledge, the Bubba teeth champion
that is so awesome.
I love that
so
much.
That was a really cool story. And I know you said like that helped you in your healing. And I mean, like you said, you're healing every single day still. And I can only imagine you'll be healing until the day that you are together again.
I know.
With the good Lord. And so I just want to know, like, now that you are where you are and it's been a few years, like how does like what you do every day, like how are you still healing? And like, are you using your job for that? Or like, are there still ways that you try to like heal and like really like feel him and see God and,
Yeah. So one of the most beautiful things, it's kind of funny you say that because I made a story about it on Instagram today, but my favorite thing and what has helped me a ton in my healing is like dedicating my lifts to God. So when I work out, I dedicate my sessions to him, and they become like the most freeing, beautiful form of worship, which is really cool because I am very blessed that working out is literally my job, but it's also like therapy for me, in a very true form of praise. So every single day I worship him for, all he's done for me, but also all he can do through me. And I just dedicate my lifts to him and say, thank you for giving me this healthy, strong body that is able to overcome so much. Because we're really only as strong as our hearts are, I really think, and our spiritual health is what has to be first, and physical health will follow. So really it all ties together. And that's really what I built my brand off of, is like, okay, strong body, but stronger heart,
absolutely.
And that's, so every single day it's very relevant in my life, as fitness is my whole life. But it's just been really beautiful to see how the two can tie together,
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. I struggle with consistently working out, but I know that there have been moments where I've been like, you know what? Like, God gave me this body. It's my temple. I need to take care of it. And this is a form of worship. And so I totally agree with you. I think in general, that can be worship, but also like our work is our worship. And I feel like you represent God so well. Like, I only knew you from Instagram before today and then through a friend, but like, I could see God through you just on Instagram by you posting your workouts and like your life and stuff like that. And I think it's so cool that like you get to use your work as your worship and just be like literally a living, breathing, walking testimony to just allow people to like hear your story. And I feel like that can touch literally everyone.
Well, thank you. That is the goal. I literally every day say, like, if God, my prayer every morning is that like, bring the people to me that are supposed to be there. But anything that is not from you, I don't want the followers if they're not from you. I don't want the following, like I don't want it to ever become about me, which is really hard because social media is such a vain, toxic place. Not always, but a lot of the time. So every day I pray, like, just remind me that if my eye, and sometimes I forget, I'm like, oh, I look really good in this pic, I'm gonna post it, but it's like, okay, wait, is this glorifying to God? I don't know. I mean, it's a constant battle, but my main thing is just like, I'm gonna glorify him with my platforms because I know his goodness, and literally the only thing that matters is teaching people who Jesus is and helping them have a relationship with him, because I've experienced firsthand that like when your world is rock, when it comes down to the end, like that's all you got. It doesn't matter how much money you have or that you leave behind. It doesn't matter how many followers you had, what you accomplished. Like the only thing that genuinely matters is, did you love the Lord? And so I'll be darned if I don't use my platforms to help people find him. And I think fitness is a really cool way to do that, because it is, it goes far beyond just like believers, right? It's like such a vague, everybody wants to be fit, and so it's really cool that I'm able to reach people that don't know Jesus. They just follow me for the fitness content, but then they're able to kind of see like, oh, this girl has some kind of crazy joy. Like, I want to know, like, how do I have that? How do I get that? So it's really been beautiful, like, to see everything in my story connect, kind of like, it's literally like puzzle pieces. And it makes sense now, which it really, my life before was like, what am I doing in my life? And then now it makes sense. You just got to keep trusting.
Yeah. That is so good. Like, honestly, we could have just let you talk the entire time, and we could have been like, mic drop. No, like, you did so good. And even how Caitlin said, like, we've never personally met you. We've never had a conversation. We've only seen you on Instagram, but through your Instagram, you have such a platform and you speak so much life into people that we've seen, and we don't even, like I said, never met you personally. And so we can see Jesus through your actions, what you post, the way you present yourself on social media, and just the way you run your business. And like, I want to say that we're so proud of you, but also you, in saying all of this, I feel like this could be a whole nother episode. But in saying this, fitness in general can have a lot of negativity towards it. People have can't have a bad relationship with it. Yeah. And just even hearing you talk, like, you just bring so much joy to what I know, like, Caitlin and I, we don't consistently work out because we're like, like, we got to do this today, like, and so, but hearing you talk and like seeing you on Instagram, the joy that you bring, the insight you bring to it, and it not being a bad relationship towards fitness, but instead of you're moving your body because, one, it's your testimony, but like, it's your temple, and like, just hearing you and like seeing you on Instagram, like, just, it's a whole new perspective. And I'm so thankful for that, and thankful that you have shared that with us, but also on social media. So what you're doing is really good work. And
thank you.
Your work is, what you're doing is holy work. And we are so proud of you, like I said. And the last question I want to ask you is, if you had to leave our listeners with like one piece of advice or words of wisdom, encouragement, something that you felt like you needed during that season of life, or maybe the season of life you're in right now, what would that be?
Yeah. So no pressure, just like a very,
I know.
But I
you've said a lot already that like has been encouraging.
I think that the number one thing, especially with me, with seeing like during this crazy time, seeing my dad, like, I remember seeing the newspaper and it was like, man dies in boating accident, breaks neck, tragedy. Like, I just remember seeing my dad's life as a news story, like being like displayed as some big accident was the worst feeling ever. And so my piece of advice is just remember that no matter what's going on or how surprised you are with the way your life is turning out right now, just remember that there are no accidents to God. And I think that the sooner I realized that, the sooner I was able to really be like, this is part of his plan, and be hurting, but still have peace with it. Because I think a lot of times we're like, this is a horrible thing. This was not part of my plan. I did not see this coming. And it could be something big like what I went through, or whether maybe you lost a job you really wanted, or maybe whatever the case may be. Just remember that his plan is still good, and he is not shocked. He is not surprised. He knows every single thing that is going to happen in your life from the day you were born, to the day you die. So that really gave me a lot of peace when I would just remind myself. And my mom said it helped her too, because I would kind of remind her that like, there are no accidents. So it doesn't matter if the newspapers are displaying this as some tragic accident, like, oh, how sad, we could have prevented this if he was parked somewhere else, or like, no. we couldn't have prevented it because it was written that was how that's how he was going to go home. So that would be my main advice. Accidents are non-existent when you are a believer and you're walking with Jesus.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. That is so good. And it's so cool to just see your strength and just see, I know, like I've said, Caitlin and I have not been through this, but I cannot imagine, like Caitlin has said, I cannot imagine walking through what you walk through, but just seeing. And I think it's really easy for us to forget that this, like, the way you talk about it and the strength that you have, it sounds like you went through this like at 5 years old, but you literally went through this like what, 2.5 years ago? Yeah, like that is
a little over 3. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Like the strength that you have, I know that that's nothing that we can have as humans. That's something, or just 100%. Human beings alone. That is from the Lord. And that is such a testament to his character and your character. And so it's just been such an honor to hear from you today.
Thank you. It's been such a blessing to be here. And thank you guys for giving me a platform to be able to share this, because I've shared bits and pieces, on my Instagram, but I've never had a place where I could just let it all out. And anytime someone asks my story, I can just send them the link now.
Yes, that's awesome. And, we appreciate hearing it because there were bits and pieces of it. Like I've heard like the bits and pieces that you've shared on Instagram, and I know like how you shared like, oh, this is my dad's thing, like and just like special things about him. Wasn't there something like on his birthday? It was like have a drink for him, or didn't you do that? So or something like that. That was so sweet.
Yeah, beer for Barry. And everyone has like a Miller Lite, which I don't drink beer, but it's just cute because it was his favorite little like beach drink. So we'll always do that. We'll do that on his passing anniversary, so that it's the less sad day, and we more use it to like remember him, and him going home to heaven is something worth celebrating. Awesome. Yeah.
And I know like I've seen that, and I'm like, that's so like, it's so awesome that she does that in memory of her dad, and she has people like doing it with her, but like there's so many parts of your story like I had never heard before. And I think that so many people hearing, especially like the deep parts and like the emotion, like it's really going to touch some people that like may have gone through this similar to how you have. And I don't know, I'm super encouraged, and like, I don't know, I feel like I have known you forever now because you've shared your heart so deeply, and like you seriously have such a joy about you that seriously I don't feel like you would have if it wasn't for Jesus. And that is so cool that he shines so brightly through you, and he's using you every single day, using your story to glorify him.
Thank you. That's the best compliment. So sweet.
Yes.
I definitely am I'm thankful for you guys. And the fact that you're saying these sweet things, but really mean them means the world. So if you ever see me not using my platform, I give you permission. Like if I'm not using it to glorify him, I give you permission to come at me. Anybody
will get you, girl.
Be like, girl, stop posting those nasty pics or whatever.
That's hilarious. We're the same. Okay. Oh, I love it. Well, okay, Kayla, before you go, we want to say thank you again. I know we said that probably 500 times, but thank you for being on the podcast. We appreciate you more than you know. But also, before you go, we want you to tell people how they can find you, your business, your platform, give your social, share all the things to tell all the people how to find you. Yeah. Shameless plug. We do not care.
Yes. Shameless plug. So if you want to train with me, I have a fitness app that is only $1 to try out, which literally not selling anything. It's literally just $1. You can cancel it whenever you want. But the link of that is in my bio. So on there, I'll post like all kinds of workouts and healthy recipes and just encouragement and just challenges and things like that. So if you're looking for more about like fitness tips, check that out, or just check my Instagram, which is just at Kayla Elledge. You can find all of those things there. And then I also have TikTok, which is just at Kayla_Elledge, which is more of just like random funny content. I don't know. That has not much of a purpose, just for fun. So those are probably the best ways to get a hold of me. Your girl says she'll start doing YouTube. But every time I do a video,
you should do it.
I just need somebody to edit for me. So anybody listening, if you're good at editing, hit me up because I would love to just send you the footage to edit for me because
I feel that.
I'm lazy.
Editing videos is a job. We'll just put it that way. It's a lot.
I just will like give up and go, you know what? I'm tired of doing this. So I just won't post it. I'll just film them and then start to edit and be like, okay, never mind.
No. You're for the drafts.
Yeah.
But all I have to say is your TikToks are bomb. So just keep dancing because they entertain me. And you got on a dance show from TikTok. So don't stop.
I'm telling you, I started as a joke, but now I'm like, so many great opportunities have come from it that I'm not like, I'll be on there dancing. Like,
savage.
Yeah.
Yes, girl.
It's fun. And I don't know, a lot of fun. I've met some really cool people through it too. So I'm like, heck yeah. So if you want to see me be goofy, silly goofy girl.
I love it. We'll put if you're listening to, we'll put all her like social media handles, all the things in the podcast description. So yes. Woo-hoo. But anyways, Kayla, thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening today. I know that Kayla has so enjoyed sharing her testimony, her story, all of the encouragement. And we absolutely know no matter who you are that you took something away. So we hope that you guys have a great rest of your week. We post new episodes every Wednesday. So come back next week and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
We had so much fun getting to hang out with you today, and we hope that you are feeling encouraged, loved, and full of purpose. If you've enjoyed today's podcast episode, we would absolutely love it if you would write us a review so that we can hear how we encouraged you. And if you haven't subscribed, go do that right now. Also, you can join the sisterhood by finding us on Instagram at The Refined Sisterhood. Okay, friend, we hope you have the best week, and we will see you in the next episode.